The Nintendo Switch has become the third highest selling console of all time, the number two highest selling TV console of all time. It clearly shows Nintendo's dominance in creating hardware. They don't get it right all the time. You have the GameCube, the Wii U, in some cases, the N64, but they don't have to get it right. And so it makes me think, what does Phil Spencer at Xbox feel about this? I have to imagine Phil Spencer, being the gracious kind of guy he is, he'd get on Twitter and he would congratulate Nintendo for their monumentous feat. But inside, he has got to be seething. And if he's not seething, he's got to be disappointed. And Microsoft has had 4 consoles since the Xbox's inception. In that time, Sony has had 4 consoles, Nintendo has had 4 consoles. And among all of those consoles, the PlayStation 4 is the third highest selling TV console of all time. And Nintendo sold the Wii, which was wildly successful, and of course, they have the Switch. Microsoft has the Xbox 360, sold very well, great console in my opinion, but doesn't even come close to the PlayStation 4. It is even further away from the Nintendo Switch. And so, they do have the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. I think separately, both of those consoles are going to outsell the Xbox 360. Obviously, combined, they're going to outsell the Xbox 360. But Microsoft could learn something from Nintendo. We criticize Nintendo all the time about the things that they don't do. They don't have good online. They don't have a good online service. They don't have good third-party games. They don't have fantastic graphics. And yet, despite all of those criticisms, the Nintendo Switch is the third highest selling console of all time, including handhelds. Why? That's because Nintendo knows what it does best, and it sticks to it. They do single-player games, Mario, Zelda, quirky games, interesting hardware. Shigeru Miyamoto says, if we can't change the way people play games, we don't do it. Does that mean Nintendo has really low lows? Yeah. Does that also mean Nintendo has really high highs? Yeah. What's Microsoft's identity? At one point, the Xbox, at least in the Xbox 360 era, Microsoft was the online destination, multiplayer. That's what they were. They had Xbox Live, and because of that, they leaned into that with a bunch of multiplayer games. This was the place to play with your friends online, to meet new people, to have that kind of service. People loved it. It was great. And then they decided to go with an always online identity. That didn't work. And then they were in crisis. And then they leaned on services. And then they tried Game Pass. And then, what are they now? You don't know. They've shifted and shifted and shifted. And now they're just doing things. Granted, Game Pass is successful, but it's not an identity. What about Sony? Sony is single-player cinematic experiences. That's their identity. They lean into that. I have concern about them getting into live services. I don't think that is part of what they do, but if they can find an identity to surround it with, then it makes sense. They can do that. There's a reason why Nintendo and Sony keep making hit after hit, keep winning awards after awards, because they have an identity and they lean into it. Whether they fail, whether they succeed, this is what they are. This is what they do. Buying up studios is not an identity. Miyamoto says, we'll change how you play games. Phil Spencer says, we'll buy the market. That's not an identity. Game Pass is not an identity. There's a reason why Nintendo and Sony are not floundering. They're flourishing. They take quarterly losses from time to time. Of course they do. Everybody's taking a quarterly loss at this point, including, even if you look at all the details of the Nintendo Switch, even though it's the third highest selling console of all time, Nintendo still took a loss in some way. But they got their identity to lean back on. So you know they're going to bounce back because they know what they do, and they know that what they do sells. Microsoft know what they do, and can they lean on that to make sure that they can earn money? Some ways, yeah. They know if they put out a good Halo, it will sell. They know that if the Coalition works on the next Gears, that will probably sell. They know, probably a Forza Horizon or a Forza Motorsport, that'll probably be good. What else? What do they have? What's their identity? We don't know. And that's part of the reason why Microsoft is struggling. They could learn from Nintendo. So, that's the lesson, Microsoft. Find an identity and stick to it.